of a number of trees in the Beachmont area of the city. National Grid has a project that necessitates the removal of these trees. And per law, we're required to have this public hearing so people can express their concerns and get an explanation as to why this is happening or it needs to happen. I'm going to turn the meeting over to anyone from National Grid that can give us a quick explanation of this project and why it's necessary and why it's necessary to remove these trees. So Nash, who will be giving us a little summary here?
I'll start to begin with. So National Grid is proposing to remove 31 public shade trees originating near the old Suffolk's Downs area, then heading east down Winthrop Ave, all the way to where Winthrop Ave intersects the ocean at the Winthrop Parkway intersection. So the reason being, we're proposing this tree removal is for the installation and removal of a underground power line. So the issue we have is where, I guess the first step in the issue we're having is we are needing to install the new power line as the first step. And in some cases, it travels through, in the street, would be underground. But there are areas where, due to conflict with other utilities, it needs to run in or very close to the sidewalk, putting it in direct conflict with the street trees, of course. So that's where we have the new line that we're proposing, or National Grid is putting in, conflicting with the street trees, where when we're digging to install the new line, most certainly would be excavating through the root balls of the trees and certainly negatively affecting the trees. So we are proposing to remove them. So the new line will go in, and then the second step is removing the old line. It can't stay there for environmental reasons. I understand lead line. So the second step would be to remove it. There are conflicts with that where the line is under trees. And in this instance, we are hoping to be able to save 11 trees that are on this list of 31, where we can excavate to the tree, but not so close where we would affect it, pull the line out, and hopefully save the tree. We're putting it on the list here in the meeting as insurance that if we're unsuccessful, we brought it to a public hearing and made everyone. So that's my short summary. If anyone else from the Grid team would like to add anything.
Yes, and could you please explain, once these trees are removed, it's the intention of National Grid to replace?
Of course, yep.
Okay.
So we are planning to replant the trees we remove. The idea is to, when we remove the trees, replant as quickly as the seasons would allow. what we have initially proposed is to replant with Zelkova and ginkgos, which, in my opinion, right now, there's a lot of pears, there's some Norway maples, and it would be a good opportunity to start over with some trees better suited for the environment. A lot of, Paul, I'm sure you know a lot of issues with the pear trees, with leaders shearing off in the winter.
That's true.
Yeah. So I don't know if Jeff, if you have anything to add there.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity to kind of start over with some more suitable plantings for the city. And, ginkgos and zelkovas were chosen because they have a more suitable canopy and crown habit that'll be a little bit smaller, and where these are going to be going right along busy streets with high traffic. These will allow better flow for that traffic rather than the pear trees that were there. And Norway maples, of course, being on the Massachusetts invasive species list, we can't replace those even if you wanted to. And just a regular red maple or a sugar maple certainly is not going to be a suitable replacement in that environment. It's not going to be allowed to grow to its full size in that environment, and it's just going to constantly be damaged by passing trucks and vehicles, and it's going to encroach on the sidewalk. So we felt that these species would be much more suitable and much more urban tolerant of the soil conditions, and be a better suited substitution for what's there. So this is really an opportunity, if you will, for the city to replace what's there now, which is the pear trees and the maple trees, with trees that we feel as arborists will provide a much better long-term solution for the city tree plantings.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'd just like to make everyone aware we've been joined by Donald Charamella, our Chief of Infrastructure here in the city. So he's also here in attendance. Does anyone else from National Grid have anything to add before I open this up to the public? Attendees, if you would like to speak on this matter, please use the raise your hand function. Joanne McKenna, counselor from that area, would you like to lead off with some comments on the public hearing here?
Yes, so I have a couple of questions. The 11 trees that you addressed that might not come down, could you give me the addresses, please?
Yeah, 4 Campbell Ave, 2 at 90 Revere Beach Parkway, 586 Winthrop Ave, 583 Winthrop Ave, 616 Winthrop Ave, all the way down to 753 Winthrop Ave. It's pretty much it's the area by Suffolk Downs where there's the public parking by the railroad bridge to
Okay.
the intersection of Crescent Ave. It's
So,
that stretch.
Okay, so we're talking about 4 trees in Ward 1. Okay, my next question is, when you take out the tree, are you going to replace the tree in the same pit? And if so, Are you going to remove the old roots? Because there's a lot of mature trees here. So how are you going to remove the trees, the roots, so when you plant the new trees, they'll be able to grow safely?
So we are planning on replanting in the same pit. Yes, replanting in the same area in the same pit. Someone maybe from the team, from the grid team, might be better suited to answer the question of, from the construction standpoint, removing the old material. But we would remove the old roots, put in appropriate soil for the tree in the area.
Okay, my next question is, there is a commitment from Dan Cameron that every mature tree that you take down will get 2. That was a commitment between Frank Stringy and Dan Cameron had a conversation. We have trees that have been 40 years, 50 years, they're mature trees. They're more valuable, as you know, as they get older. We have some sentimental trees that have been planted on Winthrop Ave, one in front of my house that was planted by my mother. It's 45 years old, and my mother has passed away in 91. So that's a very sentimental tree for me. Up the street, across the street from the fire station, I don't know, it's in the 900s. There's 2 trees, and they're very different. They were given, it was a present from someone. So those trees are very special. They're coming down too. One of them's coming down, one's not. So some of these trees are very sentimental to people. We have a resident about 4 houses up the street from me. The tree blocks the sun from his window. He has a picture window coming in. So with that tree taken out, now he's going to get all the sun from. So there are problems in this. You know, it's not just taking down a tree. Trees, I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but those planes are going right over my house. And these trees, these mature trees are taking that jet fuel that's going over my house. It's helping with the health of the residents. You know what trees do. I don't have to tell you. But we have, and now because of COVID lifting, the planes are coming over every 3 minutes. Yeah. So we have a big problem with pollution here. We have a big problem with jet fuel. We have a big problem with the emissions. The cancer rate is getting bigger and bigger around here. I have a machine in my yard from Tufts University and BU that's collecting all the data from the emissions, the jet fuel, the noise pollution. And that's the other thing. These trees act as, noise barriers. So, I mean, I'm sorry, this doesn't sit well with me, but I understand the work that you have to do. But, the trees are so vital for this area, for the residents to help the residents with good quality of life and good health. So with a little tree, with all these mature trees being taken down and a little stick being put up, which is going to take at least 5 years, 10 years to, or 40 years to mature in a big tree is not going to help the area. It's just not.
And I understand. I've never been in this position where there's been this conflict with city street trees that, I mean, you look at the tree, you see no conflict because it's obviously underground. But no, this is certainly not an enjoyable thing for me. Having this issue where there's this conflict with needing to replace a power line, which we can all agree benefits the community, and needing to remove trees that of course benefit the community in so many ways, like you mentioned, especially in that area. I mean, just being on Winthrop Ave for this project, it's hard not to notice the plane traffic.
And it's getting worse as we speak. So, and I don't know if you guys, I told you this, but in 2019, in May, before the COVID virus hit, we had 64,000 planes fly over Beachmont. They flew over, whether they were descending or arriving, but we had 64,000 planes. So you can just imagine the health, what we're enduring as people that live here. And listen, I've lived here all my life. I love it, but I am trying, urban forestry is dissipating in the Northeast, and we need to do a better job to plant trees in an urban setting. So I'm glad that, I don't know if you know this, but I know that Dan Cameron did commit to 2 trees for a mature tree. And I know we spoke about that when we met, and you guys said no because it wasn't in your budget. But he did talk to Frank Stringy, who's this one of the community developers, and they did agree. So I want you to understand that, and I want to hold you guys accountable for that. And I just have one more question. The new trees that you're putting in, how big are they going to grow?
I think probably for Zelkova and Ginkgo, we're looking at about a maximum of 30 to 40 feet.
It's not bad.
Jeff, Brian, you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. And
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I would say the ginkgo will get a little taller than that, but they're a more upright form. So their branches and everything else basically lend for easier maintenance along the street, and provide better, passability for traffic. So
Right.
The overhead is a little, it's a little higher, but they deal better with stress than most trees.
And Nash, I do agree with you with the pear tree. I mean, we've had all kinds of problems. But they're beautiful when they bloom. They were the wrong tree to plant in this urban setting. But the other problem is when you guys come in to cut these trees, you cut them in a V, and you cut the whole middle out because you're trying to expose the wires. And what happens is these trees can't hold the weight. And that's what I've seen along the whole city in front of the Immaculate Conception. They had some beautiful trees there, and you guys came in and you cut them in a V, and they couldn't hold the weight on the sides, and they fell. So now they're all cut down. I know you're doing work there, but I mean, they were no good after that. And
the whole North Shore, there's in half of the towns I cover, I run into the situation where I have pears that have been planted under the wires, and they grow quick, and they grow up into the lines. And unfortunately, we have to trim them, and there's really not a ton that we can do to get the clearance and make them and not V them out and make them look nice. We can round them over when they're young, but once they really get tall, it gets difficult.
so I did sit
Trim
with
and make it safe and still do right by the tree. It's a tough situation with the pears.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, I did sit with an arborist. I don't know her name. She was a female, and she did say that you could round them off before they get too tall, and start hitting the wires. So she has come in Beachmont, and she has they have rounded off the trees. They stopped cutting them in a V in Beachmont, and I don't know if she's still there. I don't know her name. I forgot. I haven't.
It might have been Jan Ramsey. She was,
Yes, I think so.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she was
been
great.
retired. Yep, she's
Oh,
been
she's
retired for a
retired.
bit now. Yep.
Okay,
Okay, so.
that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you for the
Council.
question.
Thank you, Council. We have some attendees here that would like to speak. I'd like to open up the floor to them. Tim McKenzie, you have your hand raised. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
How's it going? I'm pretty concerned about this. We live right by the tree at 890, and it provides a lot of shade for our yard, and there's birds that live there, and I'm wondering, there's no way that you can perform this work without taking these trees down. And I also had a question about how long before the new trees that are planted will grow to be anywhere near the size of the trees that are there now.
Okay, thank you.
890. That area.
Okay, so Tim, you said you lived at a tree at 890 Winthrop Ave?
Yeah, tree number 123 on the list.
Oh, okay. Unfortunately, that's the first tree. The new line to be installed is running down the middle of the street, and right at 23, it does dip. It dips and it goes into the sidewalk, and we would be excavating right through the tree. So there's really that conflict where the line is needing to go due to other utilities trying to avoid them. The line is in the sidewalk there, and of course it's right. The tree's right there, and it's our opinion that we would certainly most likely kill the tree or definitely negatively impact the health. So it's difficult.
So are you guys planning to rip up the whole sidewalk there too?
Nash, I can speak to that.
Sure. Great. Thank you.
Right about from that area, we run in the sidewalk down to right about at the beach where we cross into DCR property. And I think Nash alluded to some of that. Some of the constraint of us being in the sidewalk is the existing utilities and out in the street. If you were to think about it and kind of peel that back to look at what's underneath, it's very busy. The ability to safely construct and still maintain service to the area is very difficult, and that's really what pushes us up into the sidewalk at that point.
And the last question I had out of curiosity is, what do you guys do with the trees after you rip them out? And like, how far down are you planning on ripping them out? Like, like a tree like the one in front of my house has very, very deep roots. Like,
we would either remove the root ball with an excavator or grind it with a stump grinder. And then the tree itself would be chipped into a truck.
all right, thank you.
And I see Dan Cameron, you had your hand up. Would you like to?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Hi, Joanne. I just wanted to clarify, we are looking into the 2-for-1 that you've requested. And I did have that conversation with Frank on another project. So not there yet, but we are looking into that, the cost that would bring to the project and so forth. So we, appreciate, what you'd like us to do, but I'm not really there yet to 100% commit, but we'll be back to you shortly. Okay.
Thank you, Dan. There are a number of other attendees. If you would wish to speak, could you please raise your hand? We have Teresa, Christina Kelly. Christina, would you like to talk? Okay.
Yeah, I guess one question that I had to echo what Tim asked is about how long the new trees will take to reach the approximate size of the existing trees.
I would say it could be 7 to 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Christina. I see that Councilor Novoselsky would like to speak. Councilor?
Okay. I know you really can't see me, but can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Ira.
Okay, cool, thanks. I know this isn't on the list, but I noticed on the Revere Beach Parkway from 190 Winthrop Ave all the way down to Hillside Ave. There's about 40 or 50 trees that are marked there to be taken out. Are they going to be replacing those on DCR property?
Yes, the DCR trees that are marked for removal for this project are going to be replaced.
As many? One
Yes,
for one?
yes, 1 for 1. Yep.
And are they going to be put in exactly the same location, or are they going to be kind of set up in a pattern?
That's something yet to be worked out with the DCR, but the stumps will be ground, and we'll work with them to put the trees where they would like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ira, I also think that part of that removal is for the HYM reconfiguration of that area. So
All the way down?
In certain areas there.
Yeah.
So that's going to affect, where the trees would be replaced, I think.
Okay. Is that like the turnaround for the fire department?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Teresa, I see your hand is raised. Teresa, you can unmute yourself.
He said I got to unmute myself.
Yes, I think we're muted.
Okay.
You're all set. We can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, hi. I was just wondering, is it going to interfere with our parking, all this,
Teresa, if I could just ask you to identify your last name and your address.
Teresa Bagnier, 980 Winthrop Avenue and on Winthrop Avenue in Revere.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. I was just wondering if it's going to interfere with our parking, all this construction that they're going to be doing.
Someone from National Grid like to take that question?
Yeah, Nash, I can take that from a project standpoint. There will be closed work areas. The intent, the construction sequencing that we're looking at limits, I guess, long linear impact. So the intent is not to excavate 1,000 feet, build the conduit, and then install. The intent is really to work in small gangs, operate, and then restore as we move. So the intent is to look to disturb 100, 200 feet at a time, restore and move. That way we limit the impact to the public.
Okay, thank you.
And I may have missed it. When is this project going to kick off?
So it's currently kicked off. We've been completing some test hole activity. We're working through final stages of permits. We intend to get on the ground here on Monday the 17th. The intent is to start down in the Railroad Street area and then run from Railroad Street towards Winthrop, down Revere Beach Parkway.
And how long will this take?
In totality, the project stretches about 3 years.
Oh.
Impact wise though, it's like I'd highlighted before, is the construction sequence and is really packed into 100 or 200 feet at a time to limit impact to the public. So you're not going to see the 1,000 feet of linear impact or a mile of linear impact. They'll really be condensed into small working areas.
And one more question, you'll replace anything that you take up? I'm getting feedback, sorry. Sidewalks, and if you have to cut the street, you'll asphalt the street?
Joanne, I think I caught everything you said. Did you say we were going to replace what we impact?
Wait a minute.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
There's quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I think she's asking, if you're going to take out concrete sidewalks, you're going to replace concrete sidewalks, reset curb, pave any portion of the street that is impacted.
Yeah, so that's accurate, and those are the terms that we discussed during the grant allocation hearing, and it feels like several months ago. But yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to make any comments? Okay.
Ira.
Ira, okay. Go right ahead.
Just a question to you to National Grid. During all this construction, where are you going to be keeping all your equipment and supplies doing this? Because when you were working down in my neighborhood, you actually took up a lot of street neighborhood, and it wasn't very nice. So are you going to be renting property somewhere to store all these items?
Nash, I can take that one too. So with respect to, again, we're trying to limit impact to the public. The construction vendor that we have on board, their plan is to remove equipment daily, and they're soliciting off-site lay-down area. One of the areas, I think they have a couple that they're looking for. One of the areas is very locale to the project. I think they're specifically looking at Suffolk Downs as a potential space. But again, I think really to come back to my last point is the intent is to limit the impact to the public.
Good, glad to hear that. Thank you.
We have another attendee, Michael Tucker. Michael?
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you, Michael.
I just have a question. The tree that's being proposed, why aren't they doing the tree that Frank Stringy always proposes for the city?
Michael, that's a pear tree, and the pear trees we have found have become a kind of a nuisance to us, just the way they grow in the habit. They split, crack quite a bit. We're trying to move away from the pear tree and try to get a better mix of varieties through the city. They have become problematic to us.
Okay, so you'll be proposing a new tree in the future for other areas of the...
Yes, I know site plan review is kind of stuck on the pear tree. We're going to try to develop a list for site plan review. So when people build and they're required to put in a tree, that they have like a dozen trees to pick from, so we can kind of mix up the varieties, which any arborist will tell you is the way to go, just in case a disease comes or that affects a particular tree. So we want to try to get more variety in the city and not just focus on one particular tree. Variety.
Hey, thank you very much. I was just asking that for a personal note as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Paul,
Yes.
may I ask a question, please?
Of course.
Well, just tell Dan and the rest of you that what happened was we took out some small trees in front of the parking lot at Winthrop Ave. One of the developers, one of the landscapers, he took out, I think, 5 or 6 trees, and we planted them in pits that were empty around Ward 1. And most of them have taken. We did this about maybe a month and a half ago. So, but those pits are empty, and I'm asking you to, you're gonna dig up the sidewalk. You don't have to remove the tree now because we tried to save as many as we could. And it was like 5 or 6 of them because they were young trees. So I just would like to see those trees pits when you finish, put a tree planted there. So, because they are empty right now.
Okay, I think that's certainly the intent. Is that
Okay.
correct?
Thank you. I didn't know if they knew that we replanted 5 trees, so.
So just, Joanne, just for clarity, are those tree pits along Winthrop Street?
Yes, it's where you were going to take down the trees. We saved 5 of them.
Right, it's right along the MBTA parking lot. I think we-
Okay, I got you now. I was just trying to figure out where you were talking about. Now, specific to the 2-for-1 that we talked about for trees, I presume that those additional trees count into those, the existing open pits that you're referencing on, I guess it's Winthrop Street in front of the MBTA.
I don't know what you, I don't understand the question. Tell me what the question was.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just looking for clarity. I know we had discussed looking and reviewing at, for every tree removed, we'd put 2 back. And what I'm hearing is you have some tree pits that are currently vacant because trees were removed.
Those
When we
trees
move
were
back,
gonna come down, those trees were gonna come down by you. What I tried to do is try to save those trees before they came down. So what we did
Okay.
was, we got a landscaper and we moved, they were young trees. They were just planted there last year. So
Yep.
right, so we removed them. So we're just looking for you guys to honor those empty pits and put trees there once you're finished.
The day we met by the bakery,
Yes,
your landscaper was there, and we were discussing that we would be potentially looking, or would be looking to remove those trees along the parking lot. And you were talking about how they were just planted, they were young, and your landscaper dug them up and transplanted them.
yes.
So those were removed because we were going to be in that area.
Yes, you were gonna take them down anyways.
Yep.
So we saved 5 of them. Go
Okay,
ahead. Thank
Joanne,
you.
our intent would be to put a tree into that pit.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
okay, well, I believe everyone's had a chance to speak that wanted to speak. Is there anyone else that would like to make comment? Hearing and seeing none, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. I want to thank everybody for attending with their input. And if I can ask National Grid, when the project gets up and running, if we could have a phone number for a contact persons for anything that comes up. We can get a direct line to one particular person or 2, in case questions come up, concerns.
Yeah, Paul, we can take care of that. We can get that information to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. You're welcome.
Thank you, Joanne. I will get in touch with you.
Okay.
I'll give you a shout tomorrow. We can discuss some follow-up.
Perfect. Thank you, Nash.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Paul. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you,
Thanks,
Brian.
everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, JT.